Greetings, party people. Greetings, party people. I am currently in España, and I just wanted to catch you guys up on all the different news that's going to be going down this upcoming week. I have interviews with a lot of people scheduled. There's going to be a big reveal for the coach of B team. We also have, who else? Oh, we're going to speak to John Danaher soon on Borrowed Time. Did any of you guys get to watch On Borrowed Time last episode? Craig Jones revealed a lot of information. This is the first time that he spoke his mind on everything UFC at BJJ. And I know a lot of people kind of assume that he would be like bitter about them copying him. And I honestly think that that narrative is kind of just for funsies. Like, I feel like people like debating on who started what just to, you know, cause a little bit of drama or whatever. But I really don't think anyone takes it that personally. But what do you guys think? Sorry, I'm fixing something here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the team that's been helping me out with everything. A lot of the edits that you guys have been seeing on CJI Official have been coming from Henny Visuals, Jameson Truitt, and he is BJJ Revo on Instagram. Henny Visuals, super good editor. Harps in the building, literally helping me with my thumbnails and all this stuff. Like, guys, it takes a whole freaking team to try to get a nonprofit organization to keep up with the marketing and publicity needed to even compete with some of these other promotions. Like, you know, that people that work with like just other jiu-jitsu promotions, MMA promotions, they have a full team of people that are just like on salary and doing things. So CJI is just in the beginning, only our second event. Appreciate everyone that helps. When we think back to the On Borrowed Time episode, I want to show you guys this little clip because I want to preface, like, anytime I spark conversation on the UFC treating their fighters well, it's really for the fighters. So anytime, like, if I say something about Mikey or the Tackets, it's really with them in mind of like wanting them to get the best opportunity. So I think I think you've seen this kind of synergy in symbiotic relationship in MMA. The MMA media puts pressure on the promotion to pay the fighters well because the fighters in MMA never unionized. And now we're seeing all these class action lawsuits, and some of them are actually going through, and we're seeing success with some of them. That whole cycle doesn't really happen without MMA media. And so I know a lot of people out there will probably be like, oh my gosh, why is this MMA or why is this jiu-jitsu reporter so obsessed with other people's contracts? And it's just, at the end of the day, the more pressure you have from the media putting on promotions to treat fighters well, the better. So that's all I'm trying to do here.
Talk about AIGA a little bit. You brought up the Tackets. Both of them were originally on Team Kasai, who ended up going home with that $500,000 first place grand prize. If you were in their shoes, what would you rather have experienced? Doing capoeira in the UFC Bowl or getting your share of $500K? Because they definitely would have also won if Andrew Tackett was on that roster.
Yeah, I mean, like, to have the Tackett brothers in your team in that AIGA event, like, the Tackett brothers were involved in the two previous AIGA, like the qualifying events for the team. But they had to basically sit out on the finale and the grand prize. Who knows? Like, I imagine Richard Byrne, who runs up Kasai, probably compensated them a portion of that prize either way. But yeah, definitely probably not as much of the split of that $500K if they had participated in that event. That's kind of like the crux of my problem here. A lot of people think it's just me being bitter and me not being the face of everything. And it's really is that I just don't want athletes to miss out on opportunities in this sport. And that's really what's at stake here when someone has an exclusive contract and the promoter isn't willing to allow them to participate in these events, especially events like they were in the team for the first two and they missed out on the finale and the grand prize.
So yeah, we get Craig Jones' take on the Tackets sitting out of Team Kasai, who was just a freaking powerhouse. Like even without the Tackets there, they were going to be a powerhouse. Everyone kind of had Kasai as their favorite to win. The returning champions were Williams Elite, who were originally Team Adolfo. A lot of different things were moving around with AIGA, but that was such an experience. I'm so happy I got to experience. Literally, I just sat stage side with Eddie Bravo talking jiu-jitsu the whole time, and Kendall Roosing, your commentator, Howell Teague killing it. But yeah, Craig kind of just says that is the crux of what he's dealing with. A lot of people assume that he's just being bitter because he wants to have everyone join his event. But what he really is fighting for is for the fighters to have opportunities in one-off ability to do the one-off events like the ADCCs, the CJIs. And I think we spoke with Pat Downey, which is an unreleased interview. It was supposed to be on borrowed time, but it kind of got bad quality. Like he was outside at the beach, and then for whatever reason, the camera ISO didn't do well. So we decided to not put it in on borrowed time. That is currently on my page, and there's a major announcement that you guys can have a sneak peek into. But I just felt like that announcement couldn't be held on to much longer. But what would you guys would rather have seen? I think it would have been legendary if Andrew Tackett became the UFC freaking champion and then went to Kazakhstan and got a share of $500,000. Like, I think it's so fun when you're able to just go back to back to back with jiu-jitsu stuff. But obviously that opportunity wasn't able to be had. I think Craig does mention in our on borrowed time episode, like, the exposure is a big thing that they talk about, and how they want, they'll, bring you to these expos and all this and that. What young fighters need to realize is that when they're being, brought to these expos to, be a face, that's actually work for them. Like, you should actually be paid to do that. Like, you shouldn't think of being at a cool little expo as like a payment to you. Like, yes, you're getting exposure, but at the end of the day, you're the talent. You are the fighter. You are the guy that everyone would want to see. So choosing to work instead of potentially having your split of 500K, I think is huge. Exclusivity contracts are going to turn the sport into big corpo, which would suck. Yeah, we definitely don't want that. I love the UFC. I love everything that they do with MMA, but I think it is a pretty exciting time to be a little bit of a rebel and go up against this combat sports promotion that is obviously the head of MMA, but obviously they are trying to own the entire fight ecosystem, which would just be so unhealthy for everyone. So definitely value the people that understand that and kind of understand the mission of CJI. We're just trying to be an option, another option for other people. Oh my gosh, guys, new freaking drinking game is take a shot every time a jiu-jitsu promoter is like, we're not in competition with so-and-so promotion. We're doing something completely different. Nah, we're all in competition. This is war. I think it's good to be competitive. Like, if you actually think that competition within the industry is something to get personally offended about, you need to grow a pair, in my opinion. Like, this is what's good for the sport. If you're scared to go up against the corporate juggernaut that is the UFC, that's fine. You can not have as much of a loudmouth. I am going to take pride in being a loudmouth Latina that literally is going to just speak out when there seems to be stuff going wrong. What's up, Richard? What's up, Andrew? I'm so happy you guys are chilling. Someone asked me on my, I put on my Instagram, ask me anything. So I'll go through some of those questions. I know my co-commentator or my kind of producer that helps me with certain things, Howell Teague, asked me my favorite match from AIGA. I didn't get to download all the things that I wanted to for this live chat, guys, because I'm in Spain right now and working isn't my priority until Wednesday. But DeAndre Corbet is probably my new favorite grappler. One, because he's Filipino and I'm being biased AF. But two, he just has this crazy balance that is so insane. If you guys go back to AIGA, please watch DeAndre Corbet versus Dante Leon. I had a hot take. I was like, dude, DeAndre Corbet versus Dante Leon inside the pit has Andrew Tackett versus Cade Rotolo potential. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments right now if that is a really crazy take. Hit me with that unsubscribe if you can't agree. Like, I don't want to play the music because I don't want it to get demonetized, but this is a highlight from DeAndre. He is the Sabatero Invitational winner. So he is riding a hot streak of momentum, 100K. And they were so close to getting the 150K or the 300K spot, but Alioni went up against Williams Elite 3-3. And then there was a crazy submission that went in Williams Elite's way. See, the problem with me and like covering the sport now, and probably the reason I might not cover jujitsu that much longer, like how in-depth it is now, is because like I'm friends with a lot of people in the industry and like, I don't know, part of me just wants to start covering soccer, guys. What would you think about that? Like right now I'm in Europe. I'm like, what if I just move to Europe and I just go back to being a jiu-jitsu hobbyist? After CJI2, me and Craig, we like text each other all the time. We're like, we're ready to like jump off a cliff. We're ready to bring that toaster into the bathtub. So just pray for us. Pray for us because me and Craig might be done after CJI2, y'all. I mean, he did already promise CJI3, but I'm telling you, sometimes, I mean, for him, it could be a very much thankless job. But I do love it. I'm just kidding when I say sometimes it gets stressful, but I hope you guys have been liking the content from CJI. That would be so fun. Guys, there was a crazy story about a soccer player that recently died with his brother in a car crash in Spain, and I'm in Spain right now. I don't know. I just feel like I think soccer, hockey, and a little bit of jiu-jitsu content. My goal is I get like not a big investor, but an investor that can help me pay the people that I currently have out, and then they just help me run the jiu-jitsu. And then that kind of becomes my side hustle. And then my main job be something evolved in soccer. Literally on my way back from Kazakhstan, I'm sitting next to this guy that works with a Madrid soccer team, Real Madrid, but he like for whatever reason is in Kazakhstan all the time. I'm like, what are the odds? Like things lining up in this. Yes, rest in peace, Diogo Jota. Really sad story, y'all. Anyways, I wanted to talk about a little bit of everything, not just CJI news. The Pat Downey interview is up now. I'm going to be dropping Brandon Reed and Max Hansen, who is going to be on Team Daisy Fresh. Apologize about these interviews were a bit ago, but I've literally interviewed so many people that I don't have the bandwidth to like get all of these out. Like we are not the UFC. Jota, so you say that makes sense. And he's from Portugal, right? But the crash was in Spain, and people were really, really sad about all of this. If you guys follow Pesce Football on Instagram, that is like my favorite soccer follow. I want to get that guy Noah to come on to my YouTube channel. I don't know how much I'm going to have to pay that guy, but he is freaking the best. Keep an eye out for the next episode of On Borrowed Time. Craig Jones has officially started his East Coast tour. He's in New York City, going to go all the way down to Miami. And y'all, that WNO 29 card is going to be lit. Let me know if you're in the comments right now or after this live stream ends, which WNO 29 match you are most excited to see. Roberto Jimenez versus Ryan Aiken in the main event. That's going to be huge. Roberto Jimenez had a great performance at AIGA. It was he was going in 3-0 in the finals of AIGA, and then beats Giancarlo Bodani. Two-time ADCC champ, riding that wave, now going up against Ryan Aiken. Who wants to see Roberto Jimenez in CJI? Like, why hasn't he been booked for CJI yet? If you want to see Roberto Jimenez in CJI, let us know in the comments, because we didn't get to see enough of him at CJI 1, and we need a redemption story for that. June was insanity. I didn't get any clips to show from Polaris. Also, I think that would probably be an issue now that Polaris is still on UFC Fight Pass, and, you know, the divide between Craig and UFC Fight Pass, you know, I don't think I'd be able to use their content as much anymore. When people like to call me like biased or whatever, it's crazy because I used to like do work with UFC Fight Pass. So I think in the long run, we're all going to end up being friends. Like Craig Jones is now on good terms with Mo Jassim. But if ADCC versus CJI created the freaking biggest weekend in submission grappling history, just imagine what a little bit of playful banter can do between CJI 2 and UFC and BJJ. I think this makes it fun. I think you can't take it too seriously. And I think it's going to be fun if we all keep on arguing about who started what, which promotion is the best, which rule set is the best, which little octobowl or format is the best. I think all of that good stuff is good for jiu-jitsu. So if not, if it becomes too much for y'all's anxiety, then close your eyes because it's not going to stop anytime soon. Wonder if they'll ever let UFC athletes compete at Polaris. So the thing that I think a lot of jiu-jitsu promotions should really consider is that when you sign with UFC Fight Pass or any partner platform, you would expect that platform to really promote your event. How many times have you seen UFC Fight Pass accept a collaboration with Polaris? Like, Polaris is so entertaining. They're the biggest European submission grappling event ever. They're not really in competition with anything UFC BJJ is doing. So why don't they get a little bit more love on Fight Pass? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I know that it could have been cool for Polaris to get with Flow Grappling again. That looks like it didn't go through. But I really think that what Flow Grappling does for their partners is so much more. Like, they literally send people out to get content. They collab on all the things. They promote your content. And I don't know. I think we're reaching a point where most people are realizing that the people on Fight Pass are there for the MMA. Like, they're there for the feeder promotions. They want to watch the LFA people who are potentially going to get to the UFC. So yeah, and I also think that people need to realize that UFC Fight Pass and the UFC are two very different things. Like, the numbers that they get are very different. UFC, fucking top cream of the crop, but trying to sell UFC Fight Pass as this like great exposure platform isn't really true. Like, if you look at some of their stuff, like some of their stuff has like 100 likes. Their YouTube channel has like 100 views on certain interviews. Some of them do really well, but I'm just saying, like, fighters should definitely realize that just because you're being offered exposure on UFC Fight Pass, that's different than what they can do with the UFC. So that's another thing that people kind of need to consider. I got $100. Someone goes over the edge of that bowl in the near future and gets hurt. Already had 3 people close. Dude, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Harps, you're going to know. When someone got taken down, it like looked like he got concussed so bad. I think it's just like an interesting, I mean, any format you're going to have risk for injury. I think it's better than potentially running into a table or concrete. And yeah, it's definitely a very fun time to see some of the interviews, like Mikey getting on the microphone at the UFC press conference and saying they took everything that Craig did, but they made it better. Ooh, dagger. That one's personal. But yeah, I really like Mikey. I like what he's doing and what he thinks is the best for jiu-jitsu. But I think there's going to be a lot of things that come to the surface when you're like locked in a contract that you might realize, oh shit, like, and when those oh shit moments happen, I hope the athletes know that I am there on their side to listen to their stories and hopefully be, you know, like someone I really look up to in the industry, Ariel Helwani. Like, Ariel Helwani was kind of outcasted from the UFC, and it's kind of like a scary thing to think about because, like, when I was in college, my whole goal was to be part of the UFC. And then when I saw the way that they kind of make people their sheep and make people their puppets, I'm like, frick, that's so against like what I'm about. And I'm really lucky that with CJI, like, I can have opinions on certain things. Like, I can say, hey, I don't think the Misfits should have a wild card, or hey, I don't think this or that, or hey, I think the women should have an absolute division. And like, you know, I'm allowed to have that opinion. And yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with my decision for now. I appreciate all your guys' support. Let me know if you have any questions for Juliana Killer Miller, the Ultimate Fighter winner. Because it's so interesting knowing someone from the Ultimate Fighter, knowing how they were treated And then knowing that Craig Jones really did make a difference, because the people who did UFC BJJ were offered supposedly 15-15, which is much better than what a lot of people for the Ultimate Fighters have been offered. So just by Craig putting pressure on the jiu-jitsu community and like putting the standard at $10,000 to show, made it so that the UFC had no choice but to at least get close to that. Could you imagine if they did UFC BJJ and were offering people 4K? That would get out, even though part of their contract specifically says that if you talk about the money that you make, you could lose that. So yeah, I think it's very interesting the way these contracts are worded. When you watch the Pat Downey interview, he talks about how he's happy that he listened to the advice of Craig, not signing an exclusive contract, and because he was going to sign exclusively with Polaris, but then he changed the wording and it's only exclusive in London. So those are just the little things that you have to pay attention to within your contracts as an athlete. And I think Craig has also mentioned, like, he might not see your message on Instagram, but he's definitely helped out a lot of athletes in the industry figure out what's best for them, in that he used to be, competing for free, competing and not making any money. And he just wants to kind of avoid that for the next generation. So I love what he's doing. I support it. And I'm happy that the rest of jiu-jitsu is kind of growing simultaneously. So thank you guys. I'm going to come back on a live chat. Juliana Killer Miller will also answer some random questions, and we'll make it more MMA focused. I missed UFC 317, but I'm currently here in Spain. So Ilia Topuria getting a round 1 knockout. Everyone is like looking at Juliana Killer Miller with her UFC stuff, and they're like, and new, like everyone's just so vibing with the MMA energy here in Spain. It's so fun. And I'm happy that you guys took some time to hang out. If you want to ask questions, make sure you go to my Instagram page, or I'll also put an anonymous question link on my Twitter. And a shout out again to my graphic designer, Zach Sherman Arts, handling all the thumbnails, Harps, helping out with everything on Reddit, thumbnails, everything, Jameson, Shanti, and Henny helping out with edits for CJI. Guys, we're getting so close. Make sure you buy your tickets, and we are going to have some major announcements on the next episode of On Borrowed Time. So till then, I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Take care.